Hello everyone, the Frosty Planet Pack DLC has released a couple of days ago, and I thought to myself, what better time than now to start a new playthrough. Now this is going to be a standard settings, no mods, normal difficulty, full achievement run for beginners and veterans alike. I'm going to start slow so everyone can follow along, but will pick up the pace as the series goes on. As this is my first series here on YouTube, I'll gladly want to hear your feedback in the comments. Any suggestions, tips or general input is very much appreciated. So without further ado, let's hop into the map generation and spin the wheel a couple of times. I've landed on this seed right here because we have some volcanoes to play with and also more vents and geysers. I'm going to put the seed into the video description if you want to experience this planet yourself and perhaps even play along. As for my starting dupes, I will roll into one building digging dupe, one future mechatronics engineer and one researcher. I'm gonna go ahead and roll a couple of times and see what we come up with. Okay, this dupe is actually quite interesting. He's a rock fan, so he's gonna get attribute bonuses during meteor showers. He's got digging and supplying, that's fine. Usually I prefer athletics, but biohazardous, not really that bad. I think we'll take him. Okay, Stinky here has basically everything I want in a dupe. We wanted him to have digging and operating because that's going to be our mechatronics engineer down the line, and he comes with super duper hard digging. The only downside being a mouth breather, but I think we'll take him to show you that you don't really have to be scared of mouth breathers. Obviously you don't want too many, but at some point in the game it's really no concern whatsoever. He's also coming with supplying, so yeah, overall a very decent dupe with a harsh downside, but if we can manage through the early game, I think it's going to be a very good addition. Okay, and for our last dupe, I think we're going to take Pei over here. What I like most with my researcher is either suit wearing or rocketry, and while the traits are not the best, I think this is going to be fine. Usually I'd like to only take 2 interests, because otherwise the science perk is just going to be so low. So yeah, that's our crew, Steve, Stinky and Pei. I think they will do very well and thrive in their new home, which is going to be called, well, since it's an ice map, let's go with Frozen Inferno. Since we have a lot of volcanoes and some such on the map as well, let's try that and hop into the game. And here we are. Wonderful. Let's get all those tutorials out of the way. So as you can see, first thing we want to do is pause and have a little bit of a look around. There are some plants we can already utilize. If we dig in a certain way, we can use those Alveo Vera plants to convert carbon dioxide into oxygen. There's also a lot of oxalite around the place, so we definitely want to be as sparingly with that as possible, and if possible not dig it out because you lose half the mass and therefore lose half of its effectiveness. We also want to go up here because there's a coat rack with a winter coat that will remove one of the chill debuffs on one of our dupes, and there's the research portal. We also want to access that for a first batch of free research. This I think is only on this map, I haven't tried it on other maps so far. But first things first, something you want to do always in your playthroughs is get up, bedroom and toilets. Those are the 2 most important things in the first cycle. Now to do that effectively, we are going to hop into the schedule and prolong the workday. What I like to do is put down 2 nighttime slots and 1 downtime slot for only the first cycle and map out where we build our bedroom. We're going to start out with this ladder system over here. We're going to put the bedrooms to the left. Usually you want your rooms to be 4 tiles high because that's exactly the height your dupes can reach, which is very convenient. Also, most buildings fit in a 4-tile high room, So that's exactly what we are going to do here as well. So let's give them a little bit of time and let them start digging. And remove some more tutorials. Oh, pool of ethanol, nice. Now this is going to be our central ladder. Let's speed it up a little bit. What I usually like to do is have 2 gaps in between before I start a new room. So we're going to do the same here as well. As for the furniture, it's all going to be made out of wood, and we actually have some skins, so we might as well use them. Gonna put down 3 beds to the left right there. Ooh, there's a lot of lockers over here. If we're lucky enough, there's gonna be warm coats in there as well. But we'll worry about that later. First of all, we need to worry about outhouses. Right, so eventually we'll have a door right here. This is going to be a wash basin, and then 2 outhouses right there. We're going to have to add another tile. Oh, right. One of the, well, more interesting aspects of this map is you don't have any sandstone or any raw mineral. The first one is going to be granite. Well, theoretically you could mine some igneous, but since we don't have access to that yet, we are going to use snow tiles for the time being. Later on, well, relatively quickly. Oh, and our first dupe trapped themselves already. We're just gonna dig a little further and make it possible for them to climb down, hopefully. Because I don't want my oxalite to be mined. Yeah, there we go. Easy as that. Now another thing you've probably already noticed, besides the missing minerals, is you don't have any water pools. Because nothing stays liquid other than ethanol at the beginning. Since it's very chilly. Which means you're not going to be able to have any sinks prepared. So for the first couple of cycles we are going to run without those. Which is gonna be fine. There's a slim chance you'll catch some food poisoning, but I think we can manage. Okay, once the outhouses and beds are built, we want to assign them a higher priority. So they will always get delivered dirt, and the next thing on the agenda is going to be reaching this research portal. Because it holds something very interesting for us. Well, namely some research. Along this way, we're also going to carve out anything that is not oxalite. Since we have the basic needs fulfilled now, we have bedrooms and we have toilets. And there you go. The first achievement of our achievement run. Perhaps I should have mentioned this. Since this is an achievement run, we have to worry about the big 3. And they are right here. Super sustainable, locavore and carnivore. We need to consume 400,000 calories of meat. Which is going to be a piece of cake on this map. I'm not gonna lie. I'll show you later why. Then we have locavore, which means we have to consume 400,000 calories without farming plants, and super sustainable, which basically says we cannot use any power generation besides manual power and hydrogen. Well, technically solar and steam turbines would work as well, but we are way far away from that, so we're not going to worry about that. Another thing we want to do is slowly expand out. I don't want to cut open too much of the area, otherwise all of the oxalite is going to off-gas and the oxygen is going to be everywhere besides my base. We don't want that to happen. We're going to be focusing on the research portal. And similarly, we also want to go up here and grab this coat rack. We can rummage in it and we'll have a warm coat, so one of our duplicants will not have the chilly surroundings debuff the whole time. This, I think, has also been reworked. You get minus athletics and minus stamina plus stress for chilly surroundings. So we want to get into clothing production as well. Germs, yeah, very good. We're going to deactivate the disinfection because, let's be honest, we're not too worried about food poisoning just yet. And it doesn't really bother us if there's germs on the toilet. Now for our next day, we are going to increase the downtime and add a new schedule. What I like to do is run 12 duplicates on my first planets, so 4 schedules with 3 dupes each in them, and I count a total of 4 downtimes before I add a second bedtime slot. Don't worry if that didn't make a whole lot of sense to you. We'll revisit this at a later point. Oh, look at that. This building is going to be a thermal nullifier, if I'm not mistaken. It's actually very good that there's some aloe vera naturally growing down here. We can also set this to auto harvest, because down here is going to be where all the CO2 is going to accumulate for the time being. So this is always going to have some nice carbon dioxide to feed on. If you don't know, aloe vera is one of the new plants. It basically is the frost version of oxyfern, where you feed it ice if you want to domesticate it, and it's going to convert carbon dioxide into oxalate that is farmable. And duplicants are very, very slow if they don't have some coats to shield them from the cold. What the hell happened? Oh, the oxalate went away and the snow exactly hit Stinky on the head. That is absolutely great. We'll give this a little bit of a higher priority. Oh god, he's gonna have the debuff because he slept on the ground. Unfortunate. This is also going to happen right here, so we have to be careful of that. One more ladder tile and we'll be able to get that research portal unlocked. There you go. Let's give that a 7, so this gets done first. With the research portal unlocked, we get our first bit of research for free. There you go. Research discovered. Eureka! We've decrypted the research portal's final transmission. New buildings have become available. So basically you get the wood heater, ice liquefier and wood tile for free. Which is a really great help. Because not only can you build wood tiles now, which won't melt, you also have access to liquids. But before we go into that, we are going to have to dig out some more of the area next. We open this up and we're gonna go under utilities and put down an ice liquefier right there. Because once we've done that, we can also put a wood tile down there. You usually want to put a wood tile everywhere, just like with sand. You want to put it everywhere there is snow, because snow is something that can just fall down. And you don't want your buildings to either be entombed or have the ground underneath them ripped from them. And since we have access to clean water now, we are also going to put down 2 wash basins. We're gonna dig out to the left, because this is going to be our mess hall and our kitchen on the back end. So I'm gonna remove that one. We don't need it anymore. Perfect. So our wash basins are ready. We want to have them face to the left because that's when we enter or exit our bathroom. And how this is going to work is my dupes are just going to bring along some ice. They are going to use wood to melt it, and this is going to result in water that we can use for our wash basins. Now, since it's so cold, we're definitely going to run on this type of bathroom for quite a while, since it's going to be rather difficult to maintain a bathroom with pipes, since the water just ends up cracking the pipes. We have to be a little bit careful because early on wood is definitely a finite resource until we get into flux ranching, because these little critters can be sheared for wood. But before that point, that's the only wood we have, so we can't really start building a tremendous amount of wood tiles. A couple is fine, and we got our first new printable. Now, what you can do for an achievement run is you start with a duplicant that already has husbandry, because ultimately you need a rancher to supply you with enough meat to get the carnivore achievement. Since we didn't start with one, we are going to definitely take one of these 3 dupes and make them into our first rancher, no matter what. Let's see what we got. We actually only got 2 dupes due to the care packages. We got doctoring, digging, or researching, operating, and suit wearing with undigging. All right. I mean, doctoring, digging would be fine as a generic digging duplicant. The traits are also okay. Tails has got a lot going on for them, but in weird directions, and mouth breather we already got one, so I don't really want to go into that. Which means we don't really have much of a choice, and we're going to take Mima, who is going to be an additional digger later on and a backup doctor. But for now, we are going to use her as a rancher, and you can do that. They don't necessarily have to have an interest in the thing you want them to do, but it obviously helps. For her, since we haven't set up a bed or anything yet, I want to move her into this schedule, but we're going to wait until the bedtime's over. Since she only just now arrived, this is not going to be a problem, because she doesn't need to go to sleep immediately. And we're gonna be fine. One funny side note, you start with pemmican, which is a new food that already has food poisoning germs on it, but never mind that. And pemmican actually counts as meat. So you basically already get a head start for your carnivore achievement. Right, so this is going to be our dining area, and I do want a wood heater in here. I will probably place it more towards the middle, that just makes more sense, I think. Sure, let's do it. And one of our beds is entombed, of course. So the schedule's over now, so we can put Mima in here, and she's gonna work a full day before heading to bed, which is great. Okay, the dining area is nearing completion. We're just going to use the CO2 pit that's already there for our kitchen area. Yeah, sure, why not? Let's do it this way. There you go. The wood heater obviously consumes wood, but it helps alleviate the cold debuff, which is very nice. Also, we still want to get that coat. There's no critters up on this tile, so we are going to actually deconstruct this part. Because this is where we are in reach of some light. Right here. And this gives you a workspace buff, which is really cool. This is going to be where we have our manual generator and our first battery. Once this is in place, we also have to talk a little bit about priorities. I usually like to set everyone to not doctor, no rocketry, no cooking, no decorating, no researching, no ranching, even though it can't be done without the trait. It's just for me to see that better. Pei is going to be our researcher, and for now this is alright. Since we don't have any dedicated hauling dupes yet, we're going to want to leave everything else as is. Oh, there's a lot of snow coming down. fine. We're gonna set this to 20%. So, well, let's do 25. Once the battery hits 25%, they're going to recharge it. And for our first research, there are a couple of new things. There's also a couple of things from recent updates, or fairly recent updates I haven't played around with, but like all the critter stuff. But we're gonna explore that together. So for our first research, we're going to go into the food research tree and get our mess tables, get a ration box that we put down here, and generally prepare for our food endeavors. Then I'm going to dig all the way up here. Open all of this up. If you can, you generally want to leave all the wild plants in place. Since, because of locavore, we can't plant anything until we've consumed 400,000 calories, it's a good idea to just live off the land, so to speak, for a while. Obviously, with alveo vera plants and in this location, it's not as important, but as a rule of thumb, I just like to pay attention to that. Right, we're gonna open this. And as you can see, those alveo vera plants already created some oxalate for us, which is perfect, because with all this oxalate around, we are really not in a rush to get into oxygen production immediately. This is, I guess, one of the parts of the map that are a little bit more difficult than the standard map, because you don't have access to algae. And without access to algae, you're obviously not going to have oxygen diffusers. We really have to be careful with the usage of our wood. This is basically all the wood I'm going to use. Also, we want to make sure that this gets done first. And we got our first research done. Perfect. We got a ration box. Algae terrarium, obviously not going to be useful. I do want to use the ration box, which means I'm actually going to go over here to the left. Dig this part out and dig out that igneous rock, because as you can see, we don't have hard digging yet, so we can't get to or through the granite. But igneous rock is soft enough so we can dig it already. Oh yeah, that's great, Mima. Real acrobatic. Okay, so one thing we have to keep an eye on is obviously our calorie count, which is surprisingly low already. In general, if you don't have additional traits or a higher difficulty, a duplicant will want to consume 1,000 calories per cycle. So, since we have 4 duplicants, we don't even have enough calories for 2 cycles left. Where can you find food early on? There's a lot of these plants, there's a lot of types of plants like this, but for this specific map it's going to be the Ceres-Series plant. These are your best food source early. Also, any wild plants you can find, like over here, those pike apple bushes, perfect for an early food source. Now we're not going to dig into these just yet, so for the time being we will have to make do with the Ceres-Berries. Now, one important thing as well, all of our ladders are made of wood too, so the sooner we can get into this granite, the better. But for that we need hard digging, so it's not really in our power. Do we not have enough dirt? If you want to check your materials, you don't have to search for it in particular. You can just look at See All under the Resource tab, type in dirt, and we can see we have 0 kilos of dirt, which means we are going to have to dig out some of the dirt, because otherwise we can't continue researching. Also, we're gonna need dirt for the outhouse, which is going to be important. Don't want to miss that. And we actually made it all the way up here, so we can rummage inside of there. Now, I've debated who should receive the code first. Oh, we got our research rudely interrupting me. But we got mess tables, so great. 1, 2, 3, 4, that's going to be enough for our crew at the moment. Also got the electric grill, egg cracker and farm tiles. We can't use the farm tiles because locavore. However, we can continue researching now. What I like to do is get a bigger battery first, because then we can replace the small battery. But as I was about to say, I was debating who should receive this code. Normally I'd give it to Pei, because she is standing all the time. However, she has the shortest distance to the wood heater from her workspace. So I think one of the duplicants that are constantly building and digging should receive it. And since Steve's already standing right next to it, he's gonna be the beneficiary. There you go. So those codes are actually very powerful, and if you can get your hands on a full set of them early, it's going to be really good. That's why I hope in these lockers there's going to be a couple more. Also, we want to deconstruct that wood heater. It does nothing up there other than pull them up there to stand there, and we don't want that. While we're completing all of this, we're also going to clean up the rooms a little bit. It's not necessary to do this, but I kind of just like doing it. It's actually useless here because we don't want to waste any more wood. No research focus selected. Next up, we are going to go into Rock Crusher. Also, we want to utilize our new battery. Hey, and we can also put the first couple skill points in. I completely forgot to put Mima's skill point in. She wants to go into critter ranching, I think. So improved farming for her and hard digging for Steve. And since Steve has hard digging now, he can go into mining out some granite for us. Stinky also got a skill point. It's hard digging season for you too. Oh, I already forgot that he has super duper hard digging. We do want to deconstruct the small battery because it's going to run out of juice much earlier, and the whole point was to have the jumbo battery basically being our sole charge holder. Another thing we want to do is actually... Oh wow, there's a geyser right there. Or something. We're gonna take a look at that later on. I think Stinky can actually... Yeah, we could look at that relatively soon. Gonna clear that out. That's just carbon dioxide, so we're not gonna worry too much about it. Add this. Get 4 tiles out on each side. Then we have access to those pike apples and auto harvest everything. Pei got another skill point. She's gonna do advanced research. And we got the first part of our research done. Oh, we got a water cooler actually. That's pretty good. Because that means we can make an actual great hall already. And we're gonna have to make this bigger later on, but for now we have space for actually only 3 more dupes, which is fine, really. Under furniture, we are going to place down a water cooler right there. And right over here is the sole reason why carnivore is not a problem anymore. Vamos! They give you 22,400 calories worth of meat, which is insane. This makes it very easy to just complete carnivore. We now got a mess hall, which is also really nice. And the research is done. Perfect. So rock crushing is now available. Really quickly we're gonna go into the first smart home and interior decor research, because we do want to make a great hall. There you go, new printables available. Alright, not really very conventional, but Lyra here is relatively good at being a cook and backup operator. Usually, I think it falls in the same category, if I'm not mistaken. I think if you're good at operating, they're also going to be very quickly on the stove. The only downside is she's nectophobic, but that shouldn't really stand in the way of me taking her. So I can show off how to deal with a nectophobic dupe. It's really not a big deal. So welcome to the team, Lyra. Obviously, we're going to need a new schedule now, because at first, basically what dictates how many dupes are in a schedule is the amount of toilets I have. I have 2 toilets, 2 wash basins, so there's always going to be 2 dupes at the moment in each schedule. Later on, we'll have 3 toilets, 3 wash basins, so we can have 3 in every schedule. So Lara will go in here, then I put this right there, and perfect. Boom. Own schedule done. She's gonna need a bed. Well, she's gonna need a little bit of a special bed, because she is going to need a nightlight. We want to add this right here. Actually, let's leave it. And since we have 5 duplicants right now, we can also fine-tune our priority system a little bit. Steve and Stinky are going to be our builders and diggers. Mima, first and foremost, is going to be a rancher, which she can't do at the moment. She'll also do the farming, less building and digging for now. Less building and digging for Lara. She's going to be operating when she's not cooking. And that's about it. This is enough fine-tuning for now. We're gonna put a flower pot down in here. Now, flower pots don't count towards the Loc of War achievement, so you don't have to worry about that ruining your run. Hang on, this isn't right. We need to put that there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. There you go. I just realized, since we don't have any access to automation yet, we have to put the light much further to the left. Otherwise it's going to disrupt my other duplicants, and that's that. Now that we got our flower pod, well, we already have the Adilla flower right here. We're gonna plant that there. Then we are also going to put down another cot. Right here in this ration box, we're basically putting everything edible. We don't want to put cooking ingredients, otherwise they're going to go around and pick up all the sleet wheat, which will eventually rot in there because we're not going to be using it for a while. Oh look, it's a flox fawn egg. These little fellows are going to be our first critter to ranch. Now, theoretically, we now have access to a duplicate motion sensor, which could help with the nightophobic light. However, we haven't crushed any materials yet. Let me think what we want to do next. I guess we're gonna go into the advanced research now. And we got another colony achievement. Outdoor renovations. There we go. Ah, yes, I think it's right on time. Perfect. So, our nightophobic dupe will not have any nightmares. She's gonna slumber, sweet, and, well, freezing apparently. But not to dwell on that. And that's basically it for the early game. So I think I will cut it right here, as to not go over time on the first episode already, because I'm trying to keep these around 30 minutes long. In the next episode, we are going to expand the base further, create more rooms, get into ranching, and maybe even cook our first batch of barbecue. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!